Hello everyone, today I'm showing you a tutorial on how to make this large 6-inch hair bow. It looks like it's got 3 layers, but believe it or not, it is just 1 layer of ribbon on each half of the bow. It's very clever. So let's get to it. So to make this bow, you will need a hot glue gun, a tape measure to measure the ribbon. I've got a lighter to heat seal the ends of the ribbon. I've got my Fiskars fabric scissors. I've got a needle here threaded with some strong thread, and I've popped a knot in the end. And then I've got 2 pieces of ribbon. I will show you the measurements now. I'm using this gorgeous purple colour, but you can make this in any colour. You could even use a patterned ribbon. And this ribbon is 3-inch wide or 7.5 centimetres wide. And I've got 2 pieces cut to 60 centimetres in length or just over 23.5 inches in length, and that is 2 pieces. Taking the lighter, I'm now going to heat seal the ends of the ribbon because, as you can see, you get lots of frays. So the heat sealing will not only get rid of those existing frays, it will prevent any further fraying. So you need to do that on both ends of the ribbon on the 2 pieces. I'm going to set one piece aside for now, and we're going to do the first half of the bow. So taking one end, I'm going to fold the ribbon down 6 centimetres. So just grabbing my tape measure and making sure that this is folded 6 centimetres, like that. And then I'm going to fold this down again. So where this raw edge is, I'm going to fold it at that point again. I'm just making sure it's level down the sides. And again, I'm going to just use my tape measure to make sure that it is 6 centimetres. Like that. Keeping the tape measure handy. Next, we're going to fold this tail end up, and we're going to leave 1.5 centimetres overlap. So taking this long tail end, it's quite hard to get it all on camera because it's quite wide ribbon. So taking this tail end, I'm folding it under. Making sure it's all in line at the edges here. And you want this overlap here to be around 1.5 centimetres, which that is, or if you prefer to work in inches, it's around 1/2 inch. And then we're going to do the same with the other side. So now we've got the tail end coming up from this end, so I'm going to fold this under again, making sure it's in line along the edges. And again, you want around 1.5 centimetres or 1/2 inch overlap. Like that. So from this folded edge to this edge, 1.5 centimetres or 1/2 inch. So now we've got it coming out this side again, and we're going to repeat that one more time. We're going to do it slightly different this time. So this part we're going to do the same, so folding it under or upwards as I'm working with it sideways. Again, 1.5 centimetre overlap. I'm doing it by eye to begin with. I will check it with the tape measure, making sure it's in line along the edge. And then this side, instead of folding it under, I'm going to keep this pinched. So I'm lifting up this layer here, keeping it pinched. I'm also keeping this part in place, so I don't want to lose this 1.5 centimetre that I've just measured here. So I'm keeping it all pinched in place whilst I fold this piece under. Making sure it's in line. And again, we want that to be 1.5 inch overlap. So I will have to check this side again because that's moved slightly, so I'm just going to pull it up. making sure it's in line all along those edges. If you make sure one edge is level, then you know that this edge will be level also, because it's the same width ribbon all the way down. So just now checking that all of these overlaps are still even, because it can kind of go out of place. So 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, and then once you're happy that that's all even, I'm going to take a couple of fabric clips and clip that all into place to hold it securely. So this is what it should look like. It should look all nice and even, level along the top, and all of these overlaps should be even. And now I'm going to do the exact same on my second piece of ribbon. So now we have two identical pieces, and at this stage I like to put them together to make sure that they both match up, because sometimes they can slightly come out of place. So as you can see, all of the layers match up nicely, because obviously when we join these two together, you want them to look like they're one complete piece of ribbon and not made in two halves as they are. So now I've got my needle with my strong thread, and I've already popped a knot in the end. And now we're going to sew in our pinch along the bottom. First of all, I'm going to remove the clip from this edge which I'm going to sew. We're going to aim for 8 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So imagine this is the middle. You want to aim for 4 on each side, mirroring each other. So we're going to go in through this first corner, through the top, toward the bottom for our first stitch. So right through that first corner, pull it all the way through to the knot. And then for our second stitch, we're going to come up through this second corner. So coming up from the bottom toward the top for our second stitch. And then our third one, again in through the top, catching this corner. So that's our third stitch. And then our fourth stitch, coming back up through the bottom toward the top. This one is quite more spaced out than these ones, but don't worry about that. That won't show once we pull that in. Then our fifth stitch, we're now mirroring these 4 stitches on the other half. So I envision in my mind that this is the center. So we've got the 4 stitches this side, and we're now going to mirror them on this side. So that's our 5th stitch. Making sure they're in line, and then our 6th stitch, again coming up through this corner from the bottom toward the top. Just making sure I get it in the correct spot. And then our 7th stitch, catching that second from last corner. And then our final stitch coming up through the last corner. So these are what your stitches will look like that. I'm going to remove this other clip now and just move that aside, and we're ready to pull in this pinch. This is why I like to use extra strong thread, so I can really pull on that thread to get that lovely pinch in that ribbon. And then once you're happy that you've got that nice and tight, I'm going to go in through the last edges, just catching a few layers of that ribbon once, and then on this second go in, before I pull it completely tight, I'm going to go through this loose loop a couple of times, and that will form a knot to hold that all tightly in place. And then you can trim off that extra thread nice and close to the bow. So that is 1/2 of the bow now done. We're going to do those exact same stitches now on the other half of the bow. So now we've got our 2 halves sewn, we're ready to join them together. So taking my hot glue gun, I'm going to place some hot glue on the middle part of the bow. And then we're going to take the two halves and bring them together. I also forgot to mention at the start of this video, obviously you will need a hair clip or an elastic or a headband or whatever you want to attach your hair bow to. I'm today using this toothed hair clip, and this is 75mm or 3 inches, and this is what I'm going to attach to the underside of my bow. I do normally line my clips with ribbon, but as this is such a big bow, I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to attach this straight to the underside of my bow because it's such a big bow that you won't really see the metal hardware very much anyway. And then for the centre, I've cut another strip of ribbon, and this is 2 inches wide, and this is the 3-inch wide ribbon, so this is the width of the ribbon. So I've just cut it to 2 inches from my reel of matching ribbon, and this is what I'm going to use to wrap around the centre, because this is just long enough. The 3 inches wide ribbon is just long enough to get around the ribbon and stick it on the underside of the clip. So I'm going to make like a little sort of ruchy centre to wrap around the middle. So taking my 2-inch cut off of ribbon, I'm going to take where this side wall is, I'm going to take both ends and make like this Z shape, so like a trifold. And then I'm going to bring them together, and then using the heat from my lighter, I'm going to melt that ribbon and then just give it a press just so that it bonds together. Being careful not to burn my fingers because the ribbon does get hot, because you are essentially melting those fibres of ribbon. But then what that does is act like a glue, and that holds that together. And then I'm going to turn this around and do the exact same on this other side wall. So taking the two ends, forming that Z shape or the trifold, laying it flat, and then again melting those fibres to bond that other end together. This is one of my favourite bow centres to do. I do just think it makes such a pretty centre, and you will see that I do a lot of these finishes on a lot of my tutorials. And then as you can see, when you pull both of those ends, you get that lovely sort of twisty look. Obviously it isn't as neat because you've got the raw edges here, but once it's on the bow you don't really notice that. So what I'm going to do now is pop a little bit of glue just on where that join is, and that will just ensure that my centre of the bow will stay covered and the centrepiece will stay central. So popping that on there like that, making sure it's in the middle. And then as you can see, it is just long enough to wrap around that clip. So I'm going to glue one side first. Open the clip and glue that side down under the clip. And then the other side. Just want to make sure that piece of thread is hidden, so I'm just going to tuck that in there, pop a bit of glue over it to keep it down. Again, open the clip and stick that last side down under the hair clip. Just holding it there for a while, because if I shut the clip too soon, sometimes the clip can get hot glued shut and it's hard to open. And then when you flip it over, you will just need to fluff up the bow a little bit to make sure it's got that lovely shape. So just to show you the finished size of this bow, this makes a large 6-inch hair bow, and it is around 4.5 centimeters in height. I will do another tutorial another day on how to make the smaller version with a 1.5 inch wide ribbon. Everything that I've used in this tutorial today will be linked in the description below, so you can just press on the title of the video and it will bring up the description and show you all of the ribbons and the clips and everything that I've used. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you press the bell button, that will turn on notifications. Bye for now.